I was just wondering, like, from your perspective, if you didn't start off, like, if you never knew about the Bible, how would you come to the conclusion that, like, LGBT is a mental illness? And what do you define as LGBT? Because, like, it encompasses orientation and, like, identity. So I'm wondering what the acronym, like, means as a definition.
Okay, so lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans. That's how acronyms work, right?
Yeah, no.
And what does that show, right? It's a sexual preference, right?
Yeah.
A sexual habit, right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but I guess more specifically, I'm wondering, like, what, like, genuinely, what orientation and identity have in common as a reason to avoid, like, both in that sense.
It's neither. LGBT is just a sexual preference. It's not orientation, and it's just a sexual habit. It's just what people like to do in the bedroom.
Oh, I see. Well, I guess to me, I thought it encompassed different things where, like, lesbian, gay, and bisexual would be about, like, how you feel about, you know, towards someone else or, like, towards finding love or you know, partners.
So you think it has to do with love? What's love?
Well, sorry, I was trying to distinguish between transgender and the other three.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, I mean, it's all the same. It's all mental illness, so different degrees of it.
Okay.
So define what love is.
I don't know. I don't really know.
Do you think you can base love purely just on a sexual habit?
No, I think emotion comes into play.
Okay. Do you think that love comes from, let's say, creating a family unit? Like, where does love come from? What would define love?
Dude, that is a good question. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I guess it would be towards a specific person. It'd be like a feeling. I don't know how it would come about.
It would be a feeling?
Yeah. I
Well,
don't
feelings
know.
go away, right? So, like, let's say somebody who's been married, like a couple that's been married for 40 years, and like the husband, it's a husband and a wife. The husband's cheated on the wife. The wife has done some fucked up things to the husband to get back at him. Why do they stay together for 45 years? The wife beat him. Let's make that the scenario. The wife beat the
him?
husband. Yeah, it happens too.
Dude.
So why do they stay together?
I don't know. You should not stay with her. But
Should not stay with her?
No, that's a terrible relationship.
But they're still together. Why are they still together? Is that love?
No, I guess it's just.
They still care for each other. They still talk. They still, you know, she needs to go to the doctor. He takes a day off work to go drive her to the doctor. Is that love?
Yeah, I think so. It's like an action, you know? You just show up for the other person. I guess it could be irrational, too, where, like, even if they do bad things to you, you can still keep on loving them.
Yeah, so why define love just purely based on a sexual preference?
I agree. I think it's more complex than that. But I don't know if I could boil it down to, like, a sentence. But I do agree it's more complicated than preference.
So part of the premise around why LGBT is a mental illness is because typically when you're forming families, right, we have gay marriage now. It's a thing, right? But typically when you're forming a family, when you're getting married, when you have a wedding, the purpose of the family unit is to procreate, right? That's the natural law perspective on it, right? You're supposed to procreate. When you're just stripping it and you're just marrying somebody because you like the sexual act that they do in the bedroom for you,
right?
Then you're stripping the functionality out of what the marriage and what the relationship is supposed to be. So it's in and of itself, inherently, it's a dysfunctional relationship.
So you're thinking
because
like
it's based on a dysfunctional dynamic,
okay.
right? So it's purely just for the pleasure of being together and having sex. That's all that relationship's about.
I see.
So that's why it's a mental illness, because it's in and of itself dysfunctional.
So you're saying, like, well, could I clarify?
Yeah.
When you said that, like, marriage, you're basically saying that it's founded on these, like, you know, utilitarian purposes. Like, we started marriage because we're trying to, like, procreate, we're trying to have, like, a family, you know, continue the state, like, practical things. And if you just make it about, like, love and these superfluous things where anyone can love anyone, then at that point it serves no purpose. And
well, it's not even about love, it's just about a sexual habit. It's like marrying somebody just because you like some sexual favor they do for you.
Could I pose a hypothetical?
Yeah.
What if there's some guy who doesn't get into any sex or anything like that, he has no attraction to anyone, but there's, like, another dude who he says he falls in love with? You know, nobody can verify that. He just wants to marry this guy because he loves him. He doesn't do anything with him. We're just, like, friends, basically.
Okay, so statistically, how many gay guys do you know?
I don't know, like 1/10 of my friend group, maybe not that many.
So statistically, like a straight man typically has between like 6 to 10 partners in his life. That's the vast majority, the average straight man. The average gay man, 150 plus. So just in and of itself, the premise of your question doesn't take into account the nature of homosexual relationships, where it's a lot of it is just having as many partners as possible and indulging in the sexual practice of it as much as possible, because that's why you're gay, right? You're gay so that you can have as much sex as possible with other dudes, right?
But
because when you're straight, the availability of the sex is different, right? It's
but
not
what if
as
I don't agree with that you're gay for a purpose, you know? And I just feel like it just, you know.
You think gay people are born this way?
Well, I think to say that you're not is like an assertion that needs some backing
Well,
up with.
I mean, there's no gay gene that's ever been identified, and that's a relatively recent narrative that's only been around for like a decade and a half, really. Before that, it was largely accepted that being gay was a sexual preference. And it was just something that people like to do in the bedroom.
Right.
And that's why, like, for example, that's why there was that that whole thing of like, you know, people having a phase, right? You see that mostly with women who are bi or lesbian, but end up, you know, consider themselves bi or lesbian, but end up marrying men anyway,
Yeah.
right? So that's like, why do you think it's something that people can go in and out of if it's something that's inherent to their nature?
I mean, you're right in the sense that it definitely seems like a deviation from the norm. Like over history, we normally get with, you know, species or with other females, males are with females because that's like the biological imperative or whatever. But I'm not sure how deviating from that like damages.
I mean, every
you know,
society
a species.
that's ever fallen, that started with that. You look back at the Roman Empire, you look back at the Greeks, you know, the Spartans. It all felt because it was like they're no longer procreating. You have a depopulation of all. You have people who no longer are disciplined or are no longer, you know, doing things that help create a productive society that can defend itself. All of a sudden, you're just giving yourself to your most basest urges, and society just crumbles.
I guess I can't see that same future. To me, it seems like pretty inoffensive to have, you know, gay relationships.
Okay, so first off, having those gay relationships and then giving it institutional privileges like marriage or adoption or social benefits like Social Security, you're disconnecting what family means and what civil obligations are there for. So this is a biblical concept I'll give you, but there's a certain like human intuition that goes across the entire span of humanity, is that it says a righteous man protects the widows and the orphans. So that's pretty much, if I go into any society across the world, whether they're biblical or not, they're probably going to have that value that a strong man protects widows and orphans. That's why they don't. You know, when some actual cultures will have child soldiers, and modern people will see that as like, whoa, that's not good. Or they'll have women go out and fight. When the women go out and fight, you're like, oh wow, things are really breaking down, right? So again, once you start giving institutional privileges, right, that are there to protect women and children, and you give those institutional privileges to men simply because they want to pleasure each other,
Right.
that's a breakdown of the social contract even.
Yeah.
That's just a breakdown of the social contract where you're trying to undermine the very institutions of family that help create healthy children, healthy communities, that create healthy economies even, you know? So yeah, so going back to your original thing about
Right.
like, wait, there's a difference between, I've heard that, LGB, minus the TQ, there's gender and there's sex and all those things.
Right.
Those are all constructs that have been created to deconstruct what they call heteronormativity. Now, why would they call heteronormativity?
Well, because it's the norm.
That's right, because
Yeah.
it's like the de facto norm. Why? Because biologically, like biology is a fundamental existence of humanity.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that we share with monkeys. Now, reading the Bible, that's like a more transcendent. Bibles don't read scriptures, Quran. They don't write them. They don't try to disprove them. There's no
Yeah.
Bible out there saying God doesn't exist, right? but they are out there engaging in sexual behavior on a species level, right? Because DNA, which is a material, a material existence, has this thing that will reproduce, right? There's this like will if you read philosophers, there's just this will to reproduce.
No, I mean,
right?
there's nature guiding us to, the opposite sex. And I mean, I know you say that if we like legitimize homosexuality by making it legal with the state, then that poses a lot of problems. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling if you guys were just tackling the question of relationships as opposed to marriage, there would also be, an issue with that. And I'm wondering if that's true.
What do you mean if we were tackling just the issue of relationships with?
If the question was instead, are homosexual relationships an issue rather than marriage?
No, well, that's where I say, okay, so there's legal issues like gay marriage and those kinds of things, right? But then to me, when you are actually stepping into like same-sex relationships,
Right.
and the statistic he cited shows an aberrant behavior that's bad for society.
Okay.
It breaks down the basic fundamental stability of society when people just act in their own self-interest. That breaks us all down. If anybody just wants to get behind the wheel and drive through all the stop signs,
Yeah.
they're eventually going to hit a child.
Well,
okay?
I don't agree that we should be, steering our life decisions for the benefit of the state. Like, I'm not planning on marrying my girlfriend because, our nuclear family will benefit society, and I'm marrying her because of how I feel about her. And I think that to say that a man can't feel that way about a man is not like backed up. Someone can feel the same way that's making me want to marry my girlfriend.
Okay, so what I would say is you want to marry your girlfriend because you're heteronormative. Why somebody wants to marry, if you were wanting to marry your boyfriend, I would say, one, institutionally, you're wanting institutional advantages that aren't really yours to claim.
Right.
But second of all, there's some kind of psychological trauma or there's a deviance, you could say, or we'll call it a deviation to kind of take down the temperature. There's a deviation from normativity. And so a perfectly legitimate question is, where does that come from? And when you say things like, you're just born that way, well, that's actually the assertion that needs to be backed up. And there's no backing in science. They've done lots of research. They can't find the gay gene. They always come up with this, well, there's kind of maybe like some nurture plus nature kind of situation. There's epigenetics where people might have like a genetic proclivity and then their environment triggers it. Well, yeah, exactly. It's like right there, they can't even hold the narrative for 2 seconds.
Right.
And then when you actually start talking within the gay community and you realize most of them are victims of CASM, child abuse. Many of them have like very warped views of sexuality. Many of them have very warped views of what a man is and what is a woman. Many of them had maybe abusive parents who would say like, "Hey, you little faggot, get over here before I beat you up." It could just be as simple as, if you notice, a lot of gay guys there are a lot of guys named Wiener. Their last name is Wiener.
Wow.
They usually have like sexual things because
Yeah.
in middle school, elementary school, and middle school,
yeah.
they got beat up by
And they
bullies
just-
who are going like, "Here, boy, I got a wiener for you."
Oh, man, they carried that with them the whole
They
way.
carry that with them,
That
and
sucks.
then what happens is that they spread, and that's why, like LGBT,
Yeah.
it does not populate and multiply through sexual reproduction. It populates through mimetic reproduction. That's why they call it like a social contagion. That's
Right.
why the numbers keep on going up and down, right? Like there was a big boost during COVID of trans identities, and now it's kind of falling off, right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, hold on, where are these suddenly coming from if they were born that way? Were they
Right,
just
right.
suddenly discovering during COVID, as they were watching their favorite TikToker put on makeup, or cross-dressing, that they were like, "Oh, hey, yeah, that's me"? No, it's like there's certain childhood traumas that play into that.
Right.
So let me ask you this: your girlfriend and you, right? Okay. You're not married yet?
No.
Are you planning on getting married?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, have you actually like planned it? I mean, have you asked
I mean,
her? Does she know?
Only in the way that like young couples talk about it, I guess, but not.
Okay, but you've
not
been coupling,
officially.
but you haven't really. You're kind of like a little wishy, like I don't know.
I mean, we haven't talked like in a year. Like no, none of that.
No, nothing like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
are you sexually active with her? I mean, I hate to get it personal, but I'm trying to make a point here.
I
Are you
don't know.
sexually active with her?
Assume that I am.
Okay, I'll just assume that you are. that kind of breakdown of the institution creates bad boundaries within relationships. Healthy relationships, which are bonds, require healthy boundaries between two people. A relationship cannot function correctly if you have two individuals who are dysfunctional. The more dysfunctional they are, the less of a healthy relationship they can have. The more healthy, right? So you need that. So that's why you have a husband and a wife that enter into marriage. That is why other cultures across the world will say you have to wait until marriage before you cross that boundary. It's because they're creating healthy boundaries, right? So it's kind of like, let me put it this way. I'm going to be very graphic here for a moment. You're lying with your partner, right? You wake up and they're having sex with you, okay? In a non-marital relationship, that sounds like rape. In a marital relationship, that sounds like sex.
Okay.
Okay? What differentiated between those two?
Well, I don't think that just the existence of marriage between the two people would like alone imply that what happened wasn't some kind of assault or something, but I guess, you know, what would likely be the difference if one was and the other wasn't assault is that they'd spoken about it before and they were in agreement.
The wife just like, you know,
Okay.
guy had an erection, the wife just saw it and said, I'm going to go to town.
Then no, it's not cool in either instance.
It's not cool to do that?
No.
Because I'm going to tell you, that's okay to happen in a marriage. That is healthy sexual interaction in a marriage. But it's a marriage that creates that boundary. It's like a container.
I don't agree.
kind of-
Maybe in most
I don't
marriages,
know.
but
Well, here's the
if my
deal.
wife said,
Here's the
hey,
deal.
if my wife said, hey, before we get married, I never want you to do that specific thing, then if I did that,
If she set a boundary beforehand.
to me, it's not assumed that that's okay. But
Okay, so
I'm telling you, I can tell you're not married.
He's been
That's
talking a
fair.
lot. Let me understand. Why do you think it's not a mental illness?
I guess I look at like examples and case studies, so it's mostly anecdotal. Like in my life, my friends who have identified that way have been what I would consider to be like, you know, good community members, not showing signs of like the people that in my life that I have gone like, oh, they're weird or they might do bad later on in life have not been associated with like orientation. It's been other factors that have made me feel that way about them. And I think that to me, it's not that, you know, it's an indicator of good character or anything, just that I don't in my life find a correlation. And people like, you know, Pete Buttigieg, like on the national stage, I see him with his husband and his kid. Dude, he never talks about like being gay. He's just like the transportation guy, you know, like he's a normal guy. He has really good arguments. He seems like a good community member, and I don't see like a negative.
So let me
correlation.
take it back for a second. You said, say that part again. Well, like you don't see what about your friends or who you said anecdotally. What was it again?
Like if I've met people in my life who seem to be of bad character or like a threat later on in life, the reasons why I thought that have not been associated with orientation. And the people who I have met who have been gay or lesbian or you know, just some orientation other than straight, haven't shown signs of like, to me, you know, negative like societal contribution or like deviance or stuff like that.
Do you think you can diagnose somebody's mental state from meeting them or knowing them for a few years?
No, I don't think so. But then how else would I be able to delineate if LGB is a mental illness by not just, you know, showing my experiences?
You know, people said something very similar to what you said about Ted Bundy, about several serial killers. They couldn't tell. They were like perfectly normal, functional people.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they're like, what? This person has 12 bodies in their basement?
No, I mean, a gay person could be a serial killer.
I'm
but,
not saying that's not what I said. I'm saying just you can't. So, especially with mental health and mental illnesses, you can't make a proper assessment because somebody could be totally functional. Like, for example, somebody could be a functional alcoholic. And you could have no idea that this person is blackout drunk all the time.
Yeah.
They meet them. But then one day, you see them in rehab, you're like, what? Jim is an alcoholic? How?
The thing is, though, I agree with you. I don't think you can look at sexual orientation as a reliable predictor for character.
No, that's not. But that's not the point. It's not. This isn't a judgment on character. It's just a fact about why people behave that way. I've explained it.
Right. Well, so then why does it matter?
It comes down to a dysfunctional use of a procreative function. That's what it is.
Yeah, but you're drawn on two different things. Like
It's not a character
you're saying
assessment.
You're saying that these feelings that we have in our brain are for procreation, but
You're thinking about feelings. It has nothing. I already established. I told you, a couple that's been together for 45 years. The husband cheated on the wife. The wife beat the husband. Why are they together?
No,
Is
but-
that still feeling?
No, but your argument is essentially where gay people are using something that's for procreation and they're not using it for procreation.
Yeah.
They're using it dysfunctionally. Yes.
Okay. So
For their own pleasure.
I'm sorry if you said it before, but could I ask, what do you identify as the things that we have that are for procreation and why it's negative that they use it for something other than procreation?
The act of sex is a procreative act.
Okay. So it's,
And using it in, for example, there are ways that you could use it as a heterosexual male that is that's reckless, right? If you go out sleeping with like 30 different women and you wear no protection, right? And you have 30 kids all of a sudden, that's reckless.
Yeah.
Right? That is also dysfunctional in a sense. Obviously, in a natural sense, you procreated 30 times, so it's functional in that sense, but you clearly don't have the means to raise those 30 kids. So it would be dysfunctional in the sense that you're creating a bunch of kids that will not have the upbringing that they need in order to be functional human beings. So you created dysfunction through your dysfunction.
But again, I look at case studies like Pete Buttigieg or gay people who are, otherwise
That's anecdotal, and you don't
successful,
know what Pete Buttigieg really is behind closed doors. It's all hypothetical that you're just assuming.
Okay.
Pete Buttigieg has a propaganda machine behind him,
Sure.
and even Kamala Harris thought that he was unelectable. That's why she didn't choose him as his vice president.
You're right. It's unfair to cherry pick examples. So I'll talk to the core of your argument. You're saying that basically even the act of gay sex would be wrong because it's
dysfunctional.
Right.
It's not. But you see,
there's no such thing as
you're
Right.
attributing. You're qualifying it. I'm saying it's dysfunctional. I'm looking at it purely, like you said, in
I
a
see.
utilitarian. You're saying
Okay.
it's wrong. I'm saying it's just dysfunctional.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I just don't think that's a reason why we should discourage it. Like it doesn't provide you.
But again, you're misinterpreting my point. It's dysfunctional. Thus, dysfunction is a form. It's mental illness.
I find it dysfunctional in the same way that eating caviar is dysfunctional. We eat to subsist and to survive, and yet I'm eating caviar for enjoyment. How is that less wrong?
Yeah, but caviar sustains you.
Right.
You get your body turns that into energy. You get to live a little longer and go on your walk. So it's functional.
Okay, then I have a 0-calorie lemonade that doesn't do anything. It just tastes good. It doesn't hydrate me. It just has a completely neutral
then it's not a
effect.
liquid.
Okay, I don't know.
No,
And
it offers no nutritional.
It's not a liquid.
You'll starve to death.
okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I guess any food that would be neutral.
Yeah, again, it's just if it's that dysfunctional, then it would lead you
Yeah.
to dysfunction.
Yeah, you'll
And it would
starve
lead
to
you to death.
if that's all you drink.
And that's why it's societies, like I was mentioning earlier, that end up falling to this stuff succumb.
Okay.
And there are numerous of them.
Okay.
Here,
Well.
let me wrap.
all
Hey,
right,
let me
I
just wrap
appreciate-
up with one thing.
Yeah, no,
I just
thank
want to point
you.
out one thing. When I asked you earlier if you were sexually active with your girlfriend,
For sure.
you kind of just said assume it. You got to just think, what in your conscience said, I don't feel comfortable saying that you're sexually active, like maybe I'm doing something wrong?
Just a basic instinct for privacy.
Well, here's the deal. When you're married, you're saying to the world that you are in a sexual relationship
Right.
without having to advertise it. So you're able to actually have the best of both worlds. Everybody knows you're trying to have a functional private life that doesn't need to be discussed out in public. See? But when you put these situationships kind of things, that's the problem with situationships.
Right.
Creates too much ambiguity around sexuality in the culture that it basically is confusing, and then it breaks down definitions, it breaks down families, and then who pays for it?
Right.
Children. And women. Because right now, if you're not married to your girlfriend, you're either, hopefully you guys get married and then it all just works out, or alternatively, you're just setting her up to be the guy that she regrets sleeping with before she actually met her husband.
Well, that's just.
Yeah,
like
you're the guy
advice.
that gets brought up in a fight every once in a while. Why did you, how many? What's your body count again? Right, yeah.
Well, I appreciate the advice.
Yeah,
and the
no
conversation.
problem. We
Thank
got
you,
somebody
guys.
else coming up here.
right.
Here.
All right, thank you.
No, good meet you.
How you doing, bro?
Good. How about you?
Doing good.
I just wanted to say one thing. In what was it? Was it 26:33? Matthew 26:33. Didn't he say, or didn't Jesus say, "Love thy neighbor as thyself"?
Okay.
So why Why are you gonna hate on other people?
Who says that it's hate? Stating a fact is hate.
Stating a fact, but you're treating it like it's hate.
How am I? What's hateful about what I'm
I
doing?
don't know. You've got the camera set up. You got the microphone.
So
set up.
having cameras set up is hateful? So then this campus has security cameras. Is this
It's not-
campus hateful?
It's not about that. It's about uploading it to social media and editing.
So
other
uploading
people's.
it to social media makes it hateful. So I mean, there are about
To be
I
honest,
think
social media
about 800.
itself.
There are about 800,000 hours worth of content uploaded every minute onto YouTube. That's all hate content?
No, but to be honest, anything that goes on social media nowadays is hate content. That's
So
why
I'm trying to get you to define what's hateful, right? Because you just provided a really broad definition.
You're
of what's
stating it as
hateful.
a mental illness when it's a
Yeah,
choice.
if you could just ask me why why I'm stating it's a mental illness, and I'll explain it to you. Would you
Go
care?
ahead.
Okay. So, sex is a procreative act, functionally, right? When you strip the function out of it and you make it where it's just strictly about seeking pleasure, it becomes a dysfunctional act. Dysfunction, in a mental sense, is a mental illness. If you're mentally dysfunctional, you're mentally ill. You agree with that? So that's why it's a mental illness, because it's a dysfunctional. It's creating your identity around a dysfunctional act that doesn't lead to the true function of the act that you're using to set your identity around. You understand?
I see. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about
But
it?
I was gonna say, isn't like doing hobbies and stuff also dysfunctional? You're not really giving anything to the world, or you're not giving.
Okay, so cite
anything
one
to
hobby
yourself.
cite one hobby so we can debate it. One hobby that you find to be dysfunctional.
RC cars.
RC cars? Okay.
Absolutely.
So you're talking about cars, like cardboard cars that people build together so they can race, right?
Yeah.
So the function of that, let's look at it broadly, right? The function of that, let's say a father and son build a car together. They're talking about the physics of the car because they want to win the race, right? So then you're studying and you're learning about physics so you can build something together. You build a bond, and then you go as a community and you race that car. So then you're building community, right? You're all getting to know each other. So the function around RC cars is to build community, right? That's the function, right? Build community, build something. Maybe you have a scientific discovery, but I don't think most people that are
It's
building.
way worse than you think. Seriously.
In what
As
sense?
someone
Are you
who
part of
does
that
RC
community?
I am a part
Are
of
you
that
just
community.
indicting that
It's-
community?
It's absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm completely neutral in everything, to be
Yeah.
honest. I don't have any religion. I don't have any like political
Well, that's
what's it
not
called?
neutral. Not having a religion is not a neutral stance.
I don't have a religion, but I don't dislike other people having religion. They can go follow whatever they want.
But that's also not a neutral stance.
How?
Not having a religion is not a neutral stance. You've taken a very clear stance. Now,
Okay, yeah,
how
that's
you
true.
choose to treat other people is more about your character than it is about having a neutral stance. You're not neutral towards people. What you're describing isn't neutral behavior, right? It's just
Yeah,
you
true.
you
You've got a
choose,
point.
you made a choice, and then you're choosing on top of that on how to treat people that may disagree with you or not share a similar point of view or share a similar point of view. So
What I'm gonna say is a lot of these communities are super toxic on their own.
you're talking about the
It's-
RC community?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
this goes for a lot of communities that I'm actually a part of. They're super toxic
Uh-huh.
towards each other. It's not like
Can I help you? Yeah.
a lot of it is like grown-ass men who just do this stuff just to make money off of
So
other
again,
people.
that's the function. They're making money, and there's a reason why there's that saying: "There's a sucker born every minute." So if you're getting scammed by somebody who just wants to make money off of you, it's not dysfunctional in nature in the sense that it leads to greater dysfunction. It's just somebody making money or people building community. If you want to look at it in a different way.
Yeah, but I don't see how you're, the way you put it on the sign. It feels like you're targeting, like,
Why does it feel like I'm targeting?
or you're targeting the community just because they have a choice. Like whatever.
Again,
Let them-
that's a
let
good
them
word
do
to
it.
use. It's a choice. Yeah, and that's
If it
why
gives-
that's why basing your entire identity around a choice is in and of itself dysfunctional as well. Like imagine me basing my entire identity around me being right-handed or left-handed. That'd be strange, right? If I'm like all of a sudden, no, I can't be here right now. I'm left-handed. This table is not left-hand appropriate. Okay, it'd be pretty hard.
I know a few people who are actually like that.
It's hard to
not-
exist like that. It's
yeah.
hard to be around those people, huh?
Yeah, that's why.
That's why it's dysfunctional. You
I
understand
tend to
that?
avoid people like that. I have people who are LGBT
Uh-huh.
and they don't make it their whole thing. They make other things their whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
I have friends who are into cars. I have a friend who just got into truck driving. Actually, they're
Uh-huh.
taking truck driving classes in Norway. Out of all,
Oh, Norway, Europe?
yeah,
Oh, wow. That's good.
yeah, but their sexual orientation doesn't really have anything to do with what they do, because it doesn't really like add anything, but it also doesn't subtract anything to what they do.
I get it. And you know, it's reasonable for people to be like that, right? I was extrapolating, but deep
Yeah.
down that dysfunction is still there, because they're building their entire life, or
Again,
whatever you want to
if
call
you're-
it.
if you're
They
building
if
your
they want to
entire-
constitute a family, it's going to be defined by this. You understand?
If you're building your entire life around something, maybe you have a problem. But to be fair, not everyone is like that.
Take a picture.
Yes.
Like so
Take a picture.
fucking weird people, man. Okay.
It's weird. Why is it weird, lady? These feminist boomers. Asshole for stating the truth? That's not very nice, lady. You're old enough to know better.
You don't have to go around attacking people.
I mean, she came over here and attacked me. No.
You responded.
Exactly. I have the freedom to respond.
You have the
You
freedom.
just-
You have the freedom to respond, but what you're doing is you're provoking now.
I'm provoking?
Yeah.
She literally came up here and called me an asshole. I
Then
don't have,
ignore her.
Ignore her?
What is
Well, you're not even Christian. You're telling me to turn the other cheek? Why?
why not?
It's
I
not-
used to be Christian.
You used to be Christian?
Yeah, I was.
So I
born-
don't. So somebody can come up here, attack me, and I should not even respond. I didn't even respond in equal measure.
Love you.
Love you too.
Awesome. God is good.
God is good. Love you too. I don't have the right to respond if somebody comes up here and attacks me. I should just take it.
You do have the right to respond, but you don't.
It's not even
You don't
biblical.
need to. You
The
don't
whole
need
turn the
to.
other cheek thing is part of it, but it's been stretched to a point where it just created an entire generation of Christians that don't even stand up for themselves. In fact, it's not biblical in the sense that Jesus gives Peter a sword, and Peter uses that sword to slice a dude's ear, and Jesus is like, "Hey, hold on, Peter," and he fixes the guy's ear. So
To be fair, he gave him the sword. What did he expect?
that's right, but why did he give him the sword? Because you have the right, the God-given right to defend yourself, and welcome to the Second Amendment. That's why we have the Second Amendment. So I have every right.
forget.
So I have every right to respond to her.
Could you remind me
if she
what the
comes up
Second
here,
Amendment-
if she comes up here and attacks me, I have every right to respond to her.
Could you real quick remind me what the Second Amendment was? To be honest,
Oh yeah, the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms.
Right.
So you have the right to go and buy a gun. Not in this state apparently, but in most states, you have the right to defend yourself.
To be fair, you can always carry a knife on you.
Yeah, that's good. But there are restrictions on that as well. But
There are restrictions on it, but they're not like too terrible. I've read into it.
you could also carry a taser,
Yeah.
bear mace.
Speaking of which, I actually built my own taser.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
So those RC classes or club that actually led you to some functional knowledge. There you go. Look at that. It's not as bad as you made it seem.
What is it? I was gonna say.
Are you
now
an
I'm just
engineer?
talking. Now I'm just talking.
Are you an engineer?
Actually, yes. I'm here for CNC classes.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see the NASA shirt too. Hello. How you doing?
That's
Lots
a
of
good
pictures.
example.
Good example of what?
Comes up, doesn't say anything.
Yeah. See,
They
it's
just-
a perfectly pleasant interaction. She can hate me. She can love me. Doesn't matter.
That's the thing. I just don't like the hate and the.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to hate anybody.
Why didn't you tell the other lady something, though?
Hmm?
Why didn't you tell the other lady off? You had no problem telling him off. Why not tell the other lady off?
I don't like poking.
It's a
at
double
other people.
standard.
I
But
don't
you,
like
you
poking
don't mind
at other-
poking at him? That would make it a double standard, wouldn't it?
You've got to sign up. You're clearly asking for getting.
So because I have an opinion that doesn't align with yours, I'm asking for it. I'm asking for harassment. That is
No, I'm
exactly
not.
what we call a
It's
double
not
standard.
harassment.
It is harassment because you had an issue with him being
Okay,
insulted.
yeah, that's
with,
verbal. That's
Yeah, exactly, it is.
verbal
So it's a double
harassment,
standard. You
yeah.
agree that you hold for people just because you don't like their
I
opinion.
will admit that is a mistake on my end. If she didn't call you an asshole, though, that would have given you no right to respond, or
I mean,
not respond.
He didn't.
But
He
to
hasn't
attack.
insulted
But-
anybody else,
Yeah.
which means the problem was clearly her. And yet you chose to go after him.
Yeah. I'm admitting my mistake here.
Yeah, you're a reasonable person.
Yeah. You're more reasonable than most places we go to.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because people, when they see something, they get super offended. To be fair, that goes with everyone.
Yeah.
If you say something like really extreme that goes against their own views, they're gonna get offended. That's what you're doing here. To be honest, you're going against someone's views, and that's gonna offend them in some way.
I mean, they go against mine. It doesn't mean that I emotionally react or insult people. Right?
can.
We should, especially in an institution like this, we shouldn't be encouraging people to react emotionally, more so rationally. And a rational person wouldn't just cross by and insult someone because they have a different opinion. A rational person can step up and have a conversation or just pass by and think, hey, we can agree to disagree and just go on with their life.
Yeah. Like, what is it? I have friends with very different opinions. I have friends friends who are a part of the spectrum, like the autism spectrum. I'm trying to like form my words, but I'm not really that great at it because
It's fine.
yeah, English isn't my first language.
Neither. It's not mine either. I
Yeah.
don't think it's his either.
Yeah, it's my second language too.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I don't care what you are, where you're from. It's just as long as you're not an asshole, we can be friends. That's my thing with it. I don't care. Doesn't matter. That's why I have so many friends. It's because as long as nothing conflicts and nobody's upset over over anything.
Okay, so question.
Yeah.
Let's say one of your friends kills somebody.
Drop them.
So then at that point you would.
Yeah.
Let's say they scam somebody.
That too.
Say they run over a dog.
Depends.
Okay. How long, let's say the friend that killed somebody, how long until you forgive them? Would you ever fix that
Did
relationship?
they do it in?
It doesn't matter. Regardless, there's no distinction we're doing right now. Because at first you said you didn't ask for the distinction at first. It depends. Depends on what?
It depends. Premeditated murder is completely different from manslaughter.
Okay.
That's the difference.
But what if they were struggling with like a mental illness and killed somebody?
I still wouldn't be around them. If
You wouldn't visit them in prison?
no,
You wouldn't write them letters? Especially when they need it? They're like, they got stabbed in prison first day?
they won't get stabbed for murder. They'd get stabbed.
Oh, they
for
kill a child. School shooters.
Yeah,
School shooters get stabbed.
absolutely, they'd
Yeah.
get stabbed. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? If you killed a child, you deserve it.
So you wouldn't forgive your friend?
No.
You wouldn't even try to help him improve?
There is room for improvement, yes, but in this current system, there is absolutely no way you can improve anyone.
You mean in the current
U.S.
prison system?
Prison system, yes.
You don't like our justice system?
Nope.
What do you not like about it?
The prison specifically.
The prison system. What about it?
Have you seen in I think it's Scandinavia? They have in Sweden, Norway, and Finland. They have those special what's it called? They have those special prisons where it's not even special. It's their normal prisons where it's just an apartment complex where.
So you're telling me that you wouldn't even want to talk to your friend because he killed somebody, but you would want him living in like the
Again,
equivalent of, you would want him living in the equivalent of a 5-star hotel in prison
It
that you're
depends.
paying for with your tax money?
If they Listen.
It's a little strange. You understand how strange
No.
that is, right?
Yeah, that's straightforward. But
It's not. I don't think you've thought that.
I don't.
Out that
I don't think I'm
process.
wording it right. What?
No. I don't think you've thought it like. Yes,
I haven't
yeah,
thought about it. I
yeah.
don't. I don't
Empathy
go to-
sounds great until it's actually implemented. I think their geography is different as well. So
It's
we have.
It's the fact that they take their prisoners and they rehabilitate them and teach them how to do
Can
work.
you rehabilitate somebody who's sexually assaulted a child? Do you think they should ever be back in public?
No. Those are the people that deserve.
Okay,
that
cool. So
sentence.
why would you
That's
want
the
to put them
only-
in a 5-star hotel?
Hmm?
So why would you want to put them in a 5-star hotel?
You don't. You just give them the death sentence.
I think that's too easy. I think the problem is we have way too many human rights in America, especially when it comes to prisons. Have you seen the problem that we have right now is that we have like people coming in from other countries, illegal immigrants that aren't afraid of our prison systems because it's already a 5-star hotel to them. You're giving them room and board. You're giving them full meals a day. You're giving them everything that they could possibly need for free at the expense of taxpayers, right? So they're not afraid to commit crimes here because it's actually 10 times better than what they've got back home.
If you take all those groups and combine them, not combine them. Sorry. If you take legal citizens, immigrants
apply
that are
this-
citizens,
I would apply the
and,
same logic to-
illegal immigrants. If you take all three of those groups and you equal them out, the most crimes committed are from born citizens here in the U.S. And yeah,
Numbers-wise,
there's a study
in
that
general?
was done. I forget which paper it was,
Or-
but
Per capita.
Per capita?
per capita, it's.
I mean, but I would say I would agree. I would say that we still treat American criminals way too good, especially the violent criminals. We're giving them room and board and food, all at the expense of American taxpayers. I think we can learn something from Guatemalan prisons or maybe El Salvador prisons where you don't eat unless your family is responsible for you. Because why should the taxpayer be responsible for feeding you when they've gone out and hurt the community that is now responsible for feeding them?
Well, then who's going to pay for it?
That's the point. Why should we pay for it? Why should we pay for the food for somebody who
But who's
doesn't
gonna
mind
pay
hurting
for
you?
it? That's the big issue. If
Right?
you're if
Why
you're
not their
gonna,
family? And if
you're
they-
not going to pay for it, then the
Exactly.
prison
So
system
do you
is
think
going to
people
go
would
down.
be less inclined to commit a crime if they have to face the idea of starving to death? Yeah.
To be honest, there's people out there who don't give a shit.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the one person out of like 10 million. How many people would be terrified of starving to death? It sounds a lot worse than just going to prison and then being out in 3 years, right? Actually, you probably won't even be out in 3 years because we all know that California, especially, we're easy on crime. You could kill somebody and get out in a few months. So the idea of starving to death might actually save lives.
There's a big thing with mental illness in there. If you're going to be
But does that mean that we should have them out in the general population?
no,
So how do we treat mental illness then?
you got me stumped there.
That's the problem. Yeah. No. It is a problem because
I don't think about the legal system too much. That's my problem here.
I do, because once you start paying taxes, you start thinking about where your money goes and
Oh,
how
I
it's
pay
not
taxes.
fair. You work already?
Yeah, of course.
So you think it's fair that you have
I
to
work
work
for
to pay
I work for
for
IHSS.
I don't know what that is.
I take care of my grandmother.
Oh, I see.
She's 92 and she has Alzheimer's, and honestly, that's the only thing I've been thinking of lately because
Good for
it's
you.
really hard.
It's not
But
easy. My dad has Alzheimer's. It's pretty advanced, so I understand.
I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah.
No,
But
you don't have to apologize.
No.
I recognize how difficult that is. So good for you for
she also has advanced Alzheimer's. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't remember anything, and she'll wake up in the middle of the night and start screaming because she thinks she lost her kids or something.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult because we have to deal with that every single day.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do here is I've gone off topic. I'm really good at changing topics. Yeah, I'm trying to do that. Yeah, I've got plenty of friends supporting me along the way as well. They're cheering for me. They're helping me out. So yeah, that's my bullshit reasoning for not having a good argument.
Good reason.
Because I don't think about it. I don't have a reason to think about it.
But it's easy to have an opinion, and then once you start, and it's easy to have an opinion and hate someone for it, or dislike someone for it, and emotionally react when you're not really like thinking of the consequences of what you're asking for. It's
Yeah.
easy to sound like a good person, but that doesn't necessarily mean.
No, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
You ladies want to?
No, I just like to hear.
You like to hear?
Yeah, I was just like, can I have a
I've gone completely
Yes, of
off
course.
topic.
Yeah, we're actually like we're really far
What
off
do you guys
topic.
mean
Right?
by like it's a mental?
Oh, a pin?
You can grab a pen, yeah.
Thank you.
What do you mean by that?
It's a mental illness. What's a mental illness?
So what? But that means like you think that basically if someone is LGBT, that basically there's something wrong with them.
So a mental illness is a dysfunction, right? It's a mental dysfunction, right?
Yeah, but
so,
you're saying that you think that there's something wrong with the person.
So again, let me just define this.
Mhm.
So mental illness is a mental dysfunction, right? So when you're LGBT, you're having sex in a dysfunctional manner. Why is that? You're building your identity around a sexual dysfunction, because sex in and of itself is a procreative act.
To
It's
be
meant-
fair,
it's meant to be.
sorry to interrupt,
Go
but to
ahead.
be fair, people with mental illnesses can still function.
Yeah,
I have
100%.
like I said, remember the friend I was talking about that's getting her trucking license?
Yeah.
Apparently, she's autistic. So
Yeah, they're varying degrees. It's a spectrum.
it depends. Yeah, it's a spectrum.
So just to
It doesn't
finish-
mean if you have a mental illness, it doesn't mean you're dysfunctional.
Yeah, I mean you are dysfunctional. It's just whether or not you can still function and be productive in society, right? It's a whole different aspect of it. They're functional alcoholics, right? They're functional alcoholics because they're still dysfunctional, but they're capable of functioning and being productive.
You just
Anyway,
described half my family there.
half of mine too. So anyway, to finish that, sex is a procreative act. That's the main function. You strip the procreative act out of it, it's dysfunctional. So if you're building your identity around a dysfunction, it's inherently dysfunctional. So you are, dysfunctional, mentally dysfunctional.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to hear the opinion.
Yeah. What do you think?
Honestly, I don't really care.
Well,
I just
you
think
care enough to
everybody,
stop, so I'm
everybody
curious.
is their own person. I just
Everyone
wanna
is their
ask.
own person.
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody's
Yeah, that's
their
fair.
own person. Everybody, likes what they like. If
And
they-
what
if
do you
they like
think?
that, they
Do you
like
think
it.
society is better now that there's this social contagion that just made it like a thing where everybody is gay?
Yes, and I don't think so where it comes to thinking that everybody is gay. I just think that yes and no. I think that for the younger aspect, that it's too early for them to know about that. That's the only issue that I have.
How early? When should
Oh,
people?
like I think for sure when you're in high school, like freshman year and up to that point, when you're a little more older to understand it, that's a more appropriate time.
High school, so it's still under 18.
Yeah, but you're more aware of what's going on than in middle school when it becomes like 12, 13, 14 year olds. At least when I was in high
Technically-
school, it's a lot better because in that spirit, in my class,
Uh-huh.
most people were mentally aware about it and were more mature about the topic.
If we
That's
want to talk about it scientifically, maybe we could even define it as 25 would be the appropriate age, because that's when your prefrontal cortex finishes developing and when your decision-making ability is fully ready for you to actually make informed decisions. Most people, when they're 18, that's why you can't even get a tattoo up until you're 18. You can't drink until you're 21 because it has a huge effect on, if you make a decision that early, it'll have a huge effect on your life.
Yeah, but
right?
but those things are something that's not necessarily mental. This is something that's actually where people are feeling it on the inside. If they feel it, if they
Well,
feel
let me
what
ask
they
you
feel.
something. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 20.
You're 20. When you were 12, did you feel the exact same about anything
No.
as you do now?
No, I did.
And that's just an 8-year difference. So in 5 years, because your brain is going to be fully developed, you will likely see things very differently, vastly differently than what you see it now.
But what if I still feel the same? Then what is that?
Do you feel the same way as you did 3 years ago for most things?
Probably not, but I'm just saying the more so.
That's just a
as an
3-year
example.
difference. We went from 8 to 3,
But
and it
I'm
still
saying it as
changes.
but I'm saying as an example.
Yeah.
And that's, what if I wasn't feeling that way though? Like, what if it was like I'm still feeling the same way when I'm 25? That everybody is their own person. Why do I
People
still
can
feel
change
that
their
way?
minds.
Do you want to take a chance on something that's permanent? Say I have a bigger problem with the T part of it, right? So we're encouraging people to do something permanent with their bodies at 20, and I think 20 is generous because they've been doing it for kids under the age of 18. So
Yes.
talking about 20 is generous in this situation, but if they encourage you to do something permanent to your body at 20 that you can take back and you feel different at 25, is it worth that chance that maybe you do feel different instead of waiting?
It could be possible. It could be a possibility.
Because if you regret it, then you can't take it back. Now you've done something permanent to yourself. So That's why it becomes a we should wait until people are much more mature and probably won't be making mistakes that they're going to look at for the rest of their life, especially when you're younger. So the goal isn't to antagonize people. The goal is to more so protect them from themselves or from mistakes that they can, so they change later on in life.
All right. Well, I just wanted to hear it out. I just wanted to hear what it was. Like that was it. You know, I just wanted to come
Do you
hear
think
it out.
that it doesn't affect you though?
What?
Like the LGBTQ stuff?
On it, like, look, if it really doesn't affect me, I mean, everybody else.
Like, if
I'm
you're
only
very
worried about.
bi-personal,
Yeah, it's just
what
I'm
about,
worried.
like,
I'm worried about my
men and
own.
women's restrooms, like the trans people in women's restrooms. How do you feel about that?
Again,
But that
it
would
really,
affect
it
you,
really
right?
doesn't really have anything to do with myself. If that's how it is, that's just how it is. It's not harming me. It's not harming anybody else. It's,
But other
it is
people
what
would
it is.
argue that it is harming them. Because at that point, you have a male, regardless of what you believe gender identity is, biology still stays the same, right?
Yes.
So you do have a male with a literal mental illness, because it is a mental illness, regardless of how you want to approach it, entering the woman's restroom. So it does affect all women who are in the restroom.
No, that part I understand for sure. Like have obviously them having their own restroom, but in the sense where it's, am I gonna see that person and think that they're bothering me or they're messing up my mental health in any scenario? No, I don't think so. I let people be whoever they want to be. That's it. I worry about myself, worry about what I gotta do every day, and worry about what I believe, and that's it. That's honestly what I
See,
believe.
that would be great if they weren't invading women's spaces. Because even if you personally don't feel like your spaces are being invaded, they are by definition being invaded, and other women would have a problem with it. You're not the only person, right? So at that point, I wouldn't care what you do as an adult. But once they start encroaching on in our spaces, in our privacy, in our safety, that is where I would. I don't care what you do yourself or who you're with in the bedroom. That is none of my business. But what is when you force yourself into women's spaces.
To agree to disagree. That's what I would say. Agree to disagree.
I have something to interject.
So do you value like a man's male's opinion more than say 50% of women's?
No, I don't.
Because it's like this is less than 0.05% of the population, and women have to give men access to their spaces for less than 0.05% of men. Does that seem fair? That we have to put aside our feelings for men. Again.
Not saying you have to put aside your feelings. You can give out your own opinion if you would like to. Not
So we
saying
do
that
have
at all.
to disregard our safety by allowing them in. So at that point, you're disregarding women's safety for literally a fraction of men.
I'm saying is that like the whole bathroom situation, if that's what you're referring to, yes, for a man to be a transgender, yes, they should have their own bathroom.
Okay.
I definitely agree with that. I'm just saying when it comes to term, if you just see one walking on the street,
No, nobody has
that's what I mean.
I've got one more
I'm
thing.
I'm not gonna get affected, but that's what I mean by
as
that.
long as
If they're not harming them, they're not harming myself. They're doing their own thing. Cool. If it comes to a bathroom situation or any type of situation like that, of course, yes. But if
Gender
I
neutral
see them walking down the
bathrooms.
street, I'm not gonna. They're not harming me. That's what I exactly mean.
There's a gender neutral bathroom basically in every building now. It's just like
becomes a really big issue with small businesses. That's where you start making it impossible.
small businesses only have one bathroom. To be fair,
And that's not true. Some of them have two bathrooms.
two bathrooms. Okay.
Yeah, and you make it almost, and depending on like the city that you're in, they have a certain amount of bathrooms. You have
Yeah,
to
please
have
go,
one to
please.
have
I
a
already-
business function.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
So,
Stand here for
like I said, those are a lot of the times we think, oh, this is an easy solution, but we don't understand
Yeah.
how much it's going to cost someone else, and how much trouble that we're putting someone else through.
I had one thing to add when you guys were talking about how you need to be, something 18, 21, for drinking alcohol. The draft is 18. Why is that not getting raised? Because if our minds fully develop at 25, shouldn't we be joining the military around 25 and not 18?
I mean, physically, you're not in the same shape as you are when you're 18. I would actually argue that we need to have a single consistent age for what we consider someone an adult, because we do have the
Yeah.
ages. I don't agree that you have to be 21 to own a gun, and then 18 to, well, actually, we have
To be fair, you have to be 18.
do most things now, right?
18
just to vote.
No, 21. 21 is to own a pistol,
My
but
point is like, no, you have to be 21 to own a shotgun and rifle. That law changed in 2017.
oh, did it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's nonsense, but
If you're under parental supervision, you can still get one.
you can't own one, but
You can borrow one.
Yeah. But that's different. You should be under parental supervision.
I don't think you should trust any minor with a firearm. To be fair.
Absolutely not. I would never encourage
No.
you to trust a minor with a gun. But I mean, at that point, so I think the age should probably be 21. We consider somebody adult and when they should be able to vote. Because the only thing you can do at 18 now is vote. You have to be 21 to buy cigarettes. You have to be 21 to buy alcohol. You have to be 21 to buy a gun. Either you bring everything back to 18 or you bring everything up to 21. It makes more sense than to have arbitrary rules.
I have to get to class because my class started at like 5 o'clock.
You're super late.
I was super late. Yeah.
All right. Well, enjoy your class.
I just like want to also get a piece of like your opinion where the stance is when you like, you know, because I got the definition from you guys, mental illness, and then I've grown up with the stigma around mental illness being negative, like shown in a negative light. So when you describe, oh, you know, it's a mental illness, you're referring to it like with a negative connotation.
I mean, you're the one attributing something negative to it. I'm just stating a fact.
Okay.
You know, you can say somebody is mentally ill without casting judgment on them, right?
Right.
Not everything that society considers necessarily good is actually good for you. Not everything that society considers bad or evil is actually bad and evil. There are gradations to it. We live in a world that unfortunately does not like to look at nuance and likes to attribute judgment to it. I see the ultimate judgment coming from God, so I try to not judge people, but I will state a fact.
And then that's what, because then you were saying, oh, you know, what if they regret it? They make these decisions for their bodies, which I agree, you know, there's a certain line between too young and when you can, you know, start making those decisions or the right, you know, define right time, right? But when you say that, oh, if they regret it, that would obviously, you know, apply with a negative connotation. So, and then you also mentioned, oh, if they change their mind or if they don't change their mind. So that's why if they don't change their mind, then wouldn't that be, you know, that could be a positive. But if
Yeah,
they do, then
statistically,
they do,
if
then
you
that
look
would
at
be
it,
negative.
statistically, the majority of trans people, within 3 months after the euphoria is gone of their transition, they're back with the original depression that they were experiencing. There is a growing movement of detransitioners. These are people that were transitioned before puberty. One of the most visible ones is Chloe Cole. She was transitioned when she was 12. She got a mastectomy. She is now infertile because she was given hormones. So yeah, that's a serious effect that you have on somebody's life for something that they later on regretted, right? And she is a part of a growing movement. There are a lot of young people that are now, learning about the consequences of what was done to them. There's a doctor that went viral a few months ago. She detailed how people are being transitioned as young as 3. I'm not talking about socially transitioned. I'm talking about putting them on hormones as young as 3 or permanently altering somebody's life from a point where they're not even cognizant of what's actually happening, right? There were 30 hospitals a few months ago that got shut down for doing child transitions. 30 hospitals around the country. And that's not all of them. There are many more. You could, up until I think about a year or so ago, use your health insurance through Kaiser Permanente to transition your child. That's how far it went. So we're just talking about the trans aspect. There's also the aspect of adopting a child, right? Because traditionally LGBT couples can't procreate, right? That's the dysfunction of it. They can't procreate. Now there's a growing conversation around gay men, particularly adopting designer babies, right? Spending $50,000 so a woman can carry their baby, and then taking that child. There's a whole ethical aspect around that's child trafficking, right? The mother no longer has a right over her child, right? What are the boundaries there? You're basically paying for a child, right? There's a whole ethical aspect to this conversation too that's being further discussed. There's a normalization of this dysfunction, right? So I think it's fair. A child deserves to have a connection to biological mother, right? Or their biological parents. I think we can all agree, right? So if you strip that child of that, I mean, you know, it's one thing if there's a tragic situation and then they're raised by somebody else, right? They're adopted, but if they're purchased, imagine that, right? Don't we have a whole discussion around slavery and how people were purchased for a system of exploitation? This is a whole other aspect of it, right? Somebody's being created, like literally created and purchased because we've normalized this behavior. This is functional behavior. So.
Okay, I think I see now more so. Yeah, dysfunction in not negative light, but just all around
Factually.
neutral. Yeah, factually.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted from.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.